everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bry and Samua Show.
I'm Bry.
And I'm Samua, and we're so glad you're here. We've a few episodes in now, so we would love it if you guys just continue to make sure you're subscribing either to YouTube or Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Amazon. We're taking over. And make sure you share with your friends. You know, we've been doing a few episodes on the Dopey challenge because that's been coming up and consuming all of our time and thought and concern and stress. But now we're, kind of moving on to other life stuff.
Yeah, well, welcome everybody. We really appreciate you being here. And thank you for all your support so far. We have been kind of experimenting with the podcast. It's been so much fun. We've really enjoyed meeting you, and we would love for you to make comments. We'd love to see some comments as you're watching it. Give us some updates on your life and how you can relate, especially if you're going through something that's similar to what we were talking about.
We had over 3,000 people watch our part 2 with Dr. Leo Cormanick for the Dopey challenge. So that means that over 3,000 people are going to be well prepped for Dopey and just knowing going into it as well as for the weekend. But yeah, just make sure that if you know anybody else, not even doing Dopey, but just anybody else running races, whether they're pros or their first time, those couple episodes have some great insight to training, nutrition, different things on running. So again, just make sure that you're subscribing. Like Bry said, we're on Instagram, the Bry and Samua Show on Instagram. Send us comments, DMs, show ideas, whatever you want.
I love that. Show ideas would be amazing. What's interesting to you that we might be able to relate to? Because we've been through a lot in the time that we've been on this earth. So we would love to share our ideas and then talk to you and find out ideas from you as well.
So what's been going on?
You know what? I know we're about a week away from Dopey, and that's been our main focus. How's that going for you?
Man, I ran 18 miles yesterday. And then because I married the perfect person that's almost just as crazy as I am and so patient to put up with my shenanigans, 2 hours later, we were on the dance floor at Goodnight John Boy and then went out to dinner and stuff with our older children. So that was fun. And I don't know that I'm ready. The whole time that I was feeling great and doing so good up to about mile 12. And then the last 6 miles were hard. And the whole time I'm just thinking, how am I going to do this for another 8 miles? But then I did go dancing for 2 hours after. So
there you go.
That Disney magic pixie dust, I think, will finish off the last 8 miles.
It's so nice because they've got so much crowd support. And then, of course, you're in the parks. So you're running through the parks and you're in part of the parks that people don't get to go to.
Right.
So you get exposure to maybe the behind the scenes, which is kind of cool. And the staff there is amazing.
Yeah.
Although they do always say you're almost there when you're really not almost there.
And you're not.
That's part of the problem.
Yeah. Now, you had to get all dramatic because you decided you didn't want to do Dopey and torture yourself anymore with me.
I know.
And so...
And whose idea was Dopey?
100% yours.
I know. I talked her into it. Then she talked Leo into it. Then they got their kids involved. And I am not going to be able to do Dopey.
I got to tell you that during my run yesterday, I kept thinking that I'm out here right now because Bry had this brilliant idea.
I know.
And now she's not even going to be there to, hear me bitch about it the whole time.
I'll be there in spirit. And I want you to call me. So I decided to be dramatic. And back in November, I was not feeling very well, right? And so I was trying to get my runs in and doing some workouts and just things weren't going right. I really want to focus on with all of you about taking your health into your own hands because I sort of was a little passive on some things that were happening with me, waited a little long to get really true expert advice on what was going on. And I ended up in the ER. And in a couple of hours, they were able to diagnose what was going on with me. It was a super sore throat. I thought I got this sore throat. Let's fix it. And the sore throat turned into something called leukemia, which is something that I'm dealing with right now. The past couple of months have been extremely interesting. The Cleveland Clinic is amazing. They got me right in, literally right in. Like I was not ready to go right in, but they were insistent. And for 5 weeks, I was in the hospital. And it was really, really interesting to watch how they take care of people. Ironically, just a couple of months later, I'm in remission, but I do need a bone marrow transplant. And so that's going to be coming up at the first of the year. But I really feel good. I do have a new hairstyle that I'm trying to work on. So for any of you out there that have hair cover ideas, I would appreciate those because right now I'm struggling a bit with that, especially when we get to the summertime. I'm going to need some really good ideas. So think about that for me. But Dopey did need to be put on hold. And that's something that maybe next year, I was thinking about it on the drive over here. The very first marathon I did at Disney was with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. And I thought if I feel well enough for next year, maybe I'll reach out to them.
That'd be awesome to make a return to Dopey with
yep,
what started it all for you.
Which what started a while, and then supporting them, right? Because it's a fundraising type thing, but I would love to raise some money. But I thought maybe if that's something I can pull off next year, that's something I would do.
Yeah. So the first few episodes that we recorded, you guys have been able to see. You might catch the difference between how Bry sounds now and there, because that's when her throat was actually kind of acting up. But I think it was early September. Yeah. We had set the date. We're going to record episodes. Yeah. We're finally launching this. We've been talking about getting this podcast going since August of 2024.
So silly.
And so the irony of timing and just the universe and God and whatever else people want to label things as is definitely not lost on us. So here we keep delaying this podcast for various different reasons. Finally, you're etching it in stone. From hell or high water, we are launching something on November 5th.
Right.
Get the podcast going. And then, of course, in my life, the way that we're juggling so many different plates at the same time, I'm always dealing with the next thing when it's time to deal with that thing, because there's just always so much going on. So it's not procrastinating, but the night before, Tuesday night, I'm literally creating all the stuff and making our intro video and trying to figure out uploading, and then come to find out that the computer I was trying to use literally had half the power that it needed. So I had to go out Wednesday morning and buy a new computer. And meanwhile, I'm texting Bry, who I know is not an early bird sleeper, not hearing anything. And then, Wednesday morning comes around, I still don't hear anything. I'm thinking maybe today was the day she had to be in person for the office and was doing a presentation and all this stuff. And then nothing. And then I'm texting her, okay, now we're live, and nothing. And that's usually my role in the friendship, to go MIA a day and a half at a time kind of thing. And then not in a million years would I have guessed what you were going through. I had guesses, and then she sends me this long text finally, late afternoon. And as I'm reading the paragraph, and again, she had this throat thing going on. So of course I'm thinking, she has some kind of cold, strep throat, whatever. And I get to the word leukemia, and it was the weirdest thing, because in my brain, it said pneumonia, because that would have made sense to me, cold and chest and throat. And then I finished reading the paragraph and I'm like, wait,
what was that word?
Did that say pneumonia? And then I look back again, because visually I'm looking at my phone and no, that doesn't look like pneumonia. But in my head, I'm still saying pneumonia, because my brain just couldn't process.
Mine too.
How do you have leukemia? And then I'm like, wait, no, it does say leukemia. What?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. It was so weird so I couldn't even drive to the doctor's appointment. Brad drove me. Thank goodness, right? Again, everything kind of fell into place with this whole situation. And we're sitting in the emergency room, and the lady comes in and she goes, okay, so we know what's going on with you. And when she said the word, we were both.
And she just said it casually?
Yeah, she goes, we've identified that you do have leukemia. And I looked at Brad, can you confirm that what she just said?
Did she mean pneumonia?
And we both were looking at each other, and I looked back at her and she goes, I know this can be hard to hear, and I'll give you a few minutes to kind of take this in. She goes, yeah, we do need to run a few more tests. So I'll be back. And off she went. And Brad and I were just...
That's so crazy that there's no better bedside manner with that.
No, there was not. And so it was very strange. And the problem is that by this time I felt like crap. I felt so bad. I could not call people, and I felt so bad doing the text thing, but it was just the only thing I could do. I'm like, I got to let people know, especially for you. And looking back on it, text is kind of crappy, but it was all I could do in the moment.
No.
And I texted a lot of different people, and it was just one of those things, because I could barely talk. Yeah. By this point, things had gotten so bad that just even speaking was difficult. And what they said is that that's where the leukemia showed itself, was in my throat. And then my gums were all swollen. She said those are two places where it can come out. And it took about, I don't know, maybe 4 weeks before that actually healed up.
I know, I remember, because I went to visit you a few times in the hospital, and you had to get all kinds of crazy stuff to be able to tolerate even just eating.
Yeah, it was so nutty. But, I would say the one thing that I would recommend to all of you is you don't wait, because here, just a real brief on the journey. This was 6 weeks long that I dealt with this. Why deal with it for that long? I waited a week. to even go to the doctor. And then when I went to the doctor, they're like, oh, there's a virus and we can't do anything about it. Just go home. In a couple of weeks, you'll feel better. So I did. And then I went to urgent care. She's, oh, you've got a sinus infection with no test or anything. We've got a sinus infection, so we're going to give you antibiotics. So I took those for about 10 days, no better. And then I waited even longer before I went back to the doctor. So I would recommend to all of you, you've got to take control of your health. I will never do that again because I probably extended this longer than it ever needed to be. And this type of leukemia is pretty aggressive. So I allowed it to even continue to manifest a little bit when I shouldn't have done that. So I would say that would be something that I would really push for everybody. Be aggressive. Because the last time I went to the doctor, I sat down and I said, I'm not leaving till you fix me. That's basically what I said to the guy. And he did a couple of tests and he said, it's beyond our control right now. I'm going to send you to the emergency room. But at least he did something and got me to where I needed to be. But if I would have just went in and been passive, he may have let me go again.
Right.
And it would have gone any longer. So you've got to take control of your own health.
Yeah, but if you had done that 6 weeks earlier, it wouldn't have convenently worked out with the dramatic side of our story with the podcast.
See, everything works out for a reason, doesn't it? Exactly.
Because, like literally a couple of people, like my husband and a couple of close friends that I talk to, it's just us, right? Where it's like,
right.
Oh, we wanted to start this podcast because we wanted to have this space and a place for people to connect to that is genuine and authentic and having hard conversations, but, taking it with some humor and kind of, this is just life. Life is this way. Like we talked about it in one of the episodes where there seems to be this mindset now, possibly because of social media and seeing everybody's highlight reels all the time, where we kind of become people that think life is good when everything is perfect or when there's no issues, there's no problems. And that's just never going to be the case. Life is good and beautiful and wonderful in the middle of the chaos and disappointments and frustrating situations, which, I mean, different than what you've been dealing with, but like I've had my own stuff in the last few months of like major disappointment, major frustration with systems that should be protecting and just, and it's not. And that's just life. And figuring out the cliche sayings, right? Like dancing in the rain or rolling with the punches, they exist for a reason because that's just how it is. It's good with bad. And so the irony of like, oh yeah, the day that you guys finally get this podcast going, we're going to go ahead and throw this in there and I kind of see it as not testing us, but it is a sense of, oh, you wanted to put this out there and become these public people that are trying to, not teach people, but gather people to have these authentic conversations. Well, let's see how you're going to handle this little, this conversation or this difficult situation.
And I will tell you the one thing that was really so cool about this experience, if there is a cool thing about it, was the friendships and the friends and family that stepped up. I mean, I'm in the hospital and people are just coming in all the time. And they're bringing all these crazy gifts.
I know. I can't imagine how hard it was to pack up to go home.
Girl, we had 2 suitcases. We had 2 wheelchairs. And and Brad's carrying stuff. I mean, it was insane. But people just were so generous with their time because, I mean, let me tell you, Cleveland Clinic downtown, not an easy place to go to. And you've got to park.
It is so sad how full that parking lot is.
It's so
no matter what day and time you go.
Now I recommend valet parking because it's not that much more and just let them do the work because that's what we've been doing. But just the people that were there for me and just calling. And if they couldn't be there, they were FaceTiming. But the funny things I got, oh my gosh, I should have brought a couple of things to hold about because they were hilarious. And I'll tell you, I was there for almost 5 weeks. And so to have all those things to refer to and get into, and I realized I'm horrible at crossword puzzles. And I do love a good puzzle, so I'm learning about myself. But I think that's what got me through it. And I think that that's an important thing to recognize is that you need your friends and family during this time. Don't shy away from them or push them away. And I think some people might do that sometimes. But that was really helpful to keep my attitude up and keep me positive because also in a situation like this, I could have just folded up into a corner and bawl and cried, but that would have taken energy away from me to be able to deal with this. And so I've learned from that too.
I know we kept talking about being positive and just like manifesting the positivity, picturing your body being strong and being the leukemia and seeing all of that. But on the other side of that, and I don't even think I've had a chance to tell you this, there was a part of me that kept waiting, like, Bry, I know you're so positive and that is what you need right now. But at the same time, it's like you're human. Give yourself that moment to like get angry. That's what this is what we want to be about. It's being authentic, it's being genuine. So it's not that life keeps knocking you down and you're just like, come on,
Okay,
like let's go. I just kept waiting. And I didn't want to say it because I don't want to be the person to be like negative. But at the same time, I just was worried about you because you don't have to be so positive for everybody else. You're allowed to be that moment, not stay there. And that's the main thing. Life will throw things at you that are hard and heartbreaking and so disappointing. And it's not about having this bubbly, pretend like everything is sunshine and rainbows all the time. It is acknowledging the shitty aspects of it and the weight and the heaviness and the disappointment and giving yourself a day or two, or depending what it is, a week, but then also getting to the point where you're like, okay, I got that out of my system. I had genuine reasons to feel these feelings, to want to give up, to be upset, but life goes on. And it's about focus, and it's a change, and it's about what am I going to focus on right now. So you texted me finally the last week that you were in the hospital.
I was done. I woke up on a Sunday morning and it was like Groundhog Day. You get up, they bring your pills, they wake you up at 5, they do your blood, they do all this stuff. And I was just, I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. I was feeling better. And I think that's part of the problem. I was feeling a little bit better and I felt like I can go home. I don't need to do this anymore. And I woke up and just started crying uncontrollably. I couldn't stop crying. Cry. And I'm like, stop it. Nope, not going to stop it. And so I had that day. That whole day was just crap for me. And the doctor came in and said, we're looking at maybe a release in about a week. And I was thinking, oh my God, I cannot make it another week, but okay, whatever. So I thought, okay, how can I get through this in another week? And it was just that day and the next day. We're both just kind of like, I was over it. And it just caught up with me. And I think I was angry. I was mad. I was unhappy. And I was just over all this stuff.
I was so happy when you were texting me that because I'm yes, like finally. I know you and you're always positive and you're always the one trying to come in and help other people fix their problems. And I mean, that's what you do for work, right? That's your expertise. And I just want to be like, just think about you right now.
Yeah.
Don't worry about everybody else. Don't worry about being strong because you want to make sure other people are encouraged in this journey and that they know I'm going to be okay, all of that. And so I was actually really happy that okay, fine. I'm glad it's finally here.
My friend had given me this little baby teddy bear, and that poor thing, he got thrown up against the wall a few times. I'm not going to lie. I always watch these shows where they take their drinks and they throw them against the fireplace. And I'm always thinking, that's so dumb. Now you got to clean that up. So I thought the bear would be good.
Yeah, you didn't have to clean anything up.
I felt so bad for him.
You could have done the drink though, because then somebody else would
had to clean it up.
That was your one chance to slam something against the wall and have somebody else clean up for you.
Yeah, but that was something else. But then on the flip side of that, I will say that the next day, the doctor came in and said, you know what? I think that your numbers are good enough that we can send you home this week. So I did get a little early release on that, which was super helpful.
Which was such a 180 from like, what day, like 8 to
9 days to like 2.
Because your platelets wouldn't stay up, and that was really concerning. Right. And so that was like such a huge positive total 180 of expectation, because
let me tell you,
the whole platelet gain thing was stressful.
I kept posting, oh, they're not up yet. And then all of a sudden, when I got out the week later, they were like all over. Like they were just blowing up. And so it's been an interesting journey. It's all a numbers game. And that's really what you're watching, is your numbers all the time. So it's been an interesting experience to go through, to watch how your body can recover. And one thing I do want to say, for those of you that aren't moving right now and just kind of not exercising, I would say do it, because I feel like going into this, Dopey was, I can't do it, but the training that I did for Dopey and the strength training, I think prepared my body for this. Isn't that real?
I mean, absolutely, because just being strong, and your body was used to having to recover from the longer runs and just fighting and things like that. So
absolutely. So I feel that, ironically, doing all that, because I probably wouldn't have been doing that if we didn't have Dopey coming up, especially because it was September and it was getting closer. So you're doing longer runs and I was doing more strength training. that really helped me, I think, recover from this and be able to fight it and to be able to have the numbers that I've had. So I would say for those of you that are thinking about January and losing weight and exercising, get into something. It doesn't have to be anything major, but just do something. There's so many free online programs you can sign up for. Just do it, because that's going to help you if you ever experience this. I hope you don't, but I feel like that was really helpful for me.
One of the things that Leo and I kept talking about, as we're doing some research, and I was at the hospital several times hearing what they were talking about, it was always, it doesn't matter what the statistics are.
Yeah.
Like, we have a friend right now, which is another little segue of, it is really sad. And Leo and I have been talking about this for the past month or so. The amount of people around us, 1 degree of separation, yourself, or maybe 2, that are dealing with cancer. And most of them are dealing with so aggressive, intense, came out of nowhere per se. Some of them are, but a few of them lead super healthy lifestyles as far as we can visually see. They're doing triathlons, they're, active, and others maybe not so much. But yeah, it's insane. So there's definitely something, whether it's just the culmination of all the things in our environment that are now toxic to us, and people's, the epigenetics getting initiated where some people can better process it than versus others. So again, what you touched upon, like just doing everything you can. We talked a little bit before, or I've talked before on social media about when my daughter was diagnosed with autism, and learning a lot about that stuff. Even then, 15 years ago, the autism community was talking about all of these different toxicity from our food processing to chemicals, and like the Bath and Body Works wallflowers, which I used to love and have everywhere all over my house. Your laundry detergent, all these different things nowadays, compared to what the ingredients were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or longer, when people used to just make that at home from all natural ingredients. It is very different. And so I started this journey with her 15 years ago. But now, as we see all these people around us getting, cancers, clearly our bodies are not able to process everything that's being thrown at it. And it's not a matter of pinpointing one thing or another, but it is a matter of let's just, favor the odds. So between cleaning up your cleaning products at home, your laundry detergent, eating as much organic as you can, being smart with your diet.
Right.
One of the things that blew my mind every time I go to visit you at the hospital was the amount of items that had food dyes and sugar. Not only that, you were receiving, but even that doctors and nurses would give you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to do this. Please don't eat this.
She was separating everything out and saying, okay, not good, maybe, only if you need it.
I think there was one thing that might have been amazing.
And you probably brought it.
And I get it, because even for me, I just want to make you feel better and give you a reason to smile. And food is such a thing. And I'm like, oh, I'll pick this up. I'm like, oh, no, wait, that's a sweet treat with sugar. No, I shouldn't. Yeah. Because there's a lot of studies that have shown that sugar can promote cancer.
It feeds it.
Yeah.
It feeds it. So I've made a huge switch in dieting. This one finally got me to drink coffee with no sugar, which is so ironic because I never thought I'd get there.
Just get a super fancy coffee machine that you see on every TV show, and then the coffee tastes good.
It's so good. But I was doing the creamer, that crappy creamer that you get at the store. Sorry, crappy creamer companies. But it's just so bad for you. But I would pour a big swig of that in my coffee every day, and I'm not doing that anymore.
And it's not even just the sugars in that. Yeah. Like, you read the ingredients.
It's just stuff you don't even know.
There's 2 words that you can pronounce, and then it's all synthetic.
The rest of it's just nonsense, right? So really looking at the labels and just really checking yourself a little bit. And it really is doing a lot of fruit. But even the fruit that I buy at the store, you've got to rinse and rinse and rinse and rinse and rinse, because it's probably been covered with all sorts of madness, right? So I'm hoping in the summertime, maybe do a little garden and do some more things that, we've got the property.
Yeah.
Let's do a nice big garden and just grow some of our own stuff. You see people doing it all the time. People a couple of doors down have got goats and chickens and all that stuff. I see why you do that now, because now you know what you're getting and you know what's in your food.
Yeah.
So I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. I'm not perfect yet, but I realized the processed foods I was eating we threw them all out. I mean, we're starting from scratch again.
Yeah. I mean, nobody can ever be perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so the goal isn't necessarily, because you don't want to add stress, because then the stress is a negative thing. So if you're stressing about what am I eating, But anything, the 80-20 rule, right? Like
Yeah.
if you can do something 80% of the time even and balance it with a real lifestyle and be
You got it.
sustainable with the chaos of everyday life, whatever that looks like for everybody. And then also still enjoying things. We go on trips
Yeah.
or we go out to dinner and you want to enjoy
You
certain
got it.
things. So that would be the
balance.
goal. The 80-20
Yeah.
is realistic to where it's not creating more stress and negativity, because then it's not going to be sustainable. The stress is going to bring its own negative.
And the financial
things.
piece, because
Yes,
it is
that
more
too.
expensive
It
to
is.
eat organically. So you've got to look at your budget and make sure you can afford that, because that can also be a problem if you're not careful, right? So you want to make sure that you're keeping that in mind as well. But it's been interesting, and it's been a journey, and I'm still on it, right? Getting back on the treadmill. So I am actually able to get on the treadmill. I'm doing some strength training, doing a lot of those types of things right now, and I feel good, which is great. And so I guess, we'll just see where this takes us. We'll keep you updated and let you know what's going on with this whole thing. I plan on being logged in to watch these guys during their races. I have my costumes. I'm so bummed because I love my costumes. So I think I'm going to wear my costume while they're running, just to kind of be a part of it.
And it will have to FaceTime.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can be in your costume and we'll FaceTime through.
And I'll be on my treadmill so we can.
Because I'll be half dead, but my husband isn't even going to break a sweat. So he can FaceTime and
he can carry you through. But it's about a week away, so there's not much time. So
I know we leave on the 6th.
Yeah. So I figure you're ready and you're going to have so much fun. And her little girl is getting ready to do her first 5K at Disney.
Yeah, so that'll be fun.
Which will be amazing.
That's another battle, because she doesn't want to be a Dalmatian, but Naomi picked a Dalmatian and we're all Dalmatians. So we're trying to coerce her, because she is a very strong, I don't know, but she's a very strong-willed child. So so we compromised that we are going to do Magic Kingdom one day, because originally we weren't going to do any of the parks. And so for that, we're like, you can wear your Elsa costume.
Oh, beautiful.
To that. And so we kind of have that. But then every once in a while, when she's in the mood, she's like, I'm not going to be a Dalmatian.
Oh my gosh. But wait till you guys are all dressed up. She's going to feel all left out. She's going to have to do it.
So I think it'll be fine.
Well, I have my Dalmatian costume, so I'll be wearing that. So no, that was the other thing, when you think about this stuff, all of a sudden I get this delivery and I realize it's my costume. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah, the roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, are you serious? So I just put the box in a closet and just left it there, because I thought, I'm not ready to deal with it right now. I'm just going to put this away for when I am ready.
Yeah, and that's part of dealing with life, is acknowledging where you're at. Again, respecting that these things are hard. It's not about pretending you're fine, because that's not going to be healthy. Because, at some point, like I said, I was so happy when you were texting me about beating up the bear. Because I'm like, she needs this. I'm glad that she's letting this out. And a journey like this, for me, I've dealt with this with autism, with this toxic co-parenting situation I'm stuck in, where it's this ebb and flow. You kind of think you find your groove,
and then it hits
you've accepted it, right? And then something, brings it right back to your face, like a costume delivery, where you're like, oh, okay, I've processed, I've accepted, I'm not going to do this race.
Let's put this on the shelf and I'll deal with it later.
Yeah, we're hoping that April you can still, be a part of that in some capacity.
And I'll wear them then. Yeah, because we have Springtime Surprise in April, which is another Disney race. And so I haven't canceled out of that one yet, because I want to see, it all depends on the bone marrow transplant, which I need to get. So timing on that will be really relevant on whether or not we get to do that race together or not, or if I need to postpone that one, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So, So we appreciate you guys listening to this, and just know that this is why we're doing this. Life sucks. Life gets in the way. Our initials are BS. So that's why we thought, you know what, this is the perfect podcast for us, because we deal with a lot of BS, and the irony of this cropping up.
I know, literally the day that we launched the podcast.
We launched the podcast, and then guess what? BS hits. And so we want you to know life isn't perfect. How you deal with it is really important. But it's okay to break down and not deal with it and just be pissed off.
Yeah, because you don't want to let life happen to you, right? There's so many people around us in our lives, immediate family members, that they were in shitty situations, and for whatever reason, just let that tide continue to carry them through all of their lives. And so whatever, we both dealt with things as children, even now, like now we're adults and we're getting thrown with leukemia, we're getting thrown with autism or, toxic marriage, whatever. And we're adults. So you kind of think, okay, well, you're making these choices but as a child, I had a lot of situations that I was put in that I had no control over, and I was a child.
Right.
A lot of toxic, traumatic things between poverty and sexual abuse and whatever. And I can't tell you the reason why. And my husband and I say this all the time, why are there people like him and I, who he was also in a very unhealthy environment growing up, dealing with, drug addict parents and fending for himself and things like that. And we don't know why we were able to somehow recognize that that was not okay and find strength from something to, keep our heads above water until we were older, more mature, and wise enough to then start to actually stand on our own feet and make some intentional decisions. But for whatever reason, even as children, we were able to just kind of keep treading and keep our head above the water of the chaos that was our lives. And I think part of it, there was for both of us, there's just never a sense of being a victim.
Right.
My husband is way better at this than I am, like just really no bitterness. It was more of, this is what it is. Now, what do I do with it? Kind of what you're dealing with now. And so I just want you guys to know that, again, we are meeting you from a place of really knowing the lows of the lows of how horrible life can be and how deeply traumatic situations can be. And so this isn't a Pollyanna,
not at all.
Annie, tomorrow's the sun's going to shine. We know what it's like I know what it's to be curled up in a ball in the corner, wishing to no longer exist. But then also being able to come out of that and remind myself of my strength and everything else I've already gone through and be okay, I'm getting back up. I will get knocked down again.
Yeah.
Something is going to happen, sometimes by the same things and sometimes even by myself. There would just be, times, it's just happened earlier this week where maybe a little bit of everything was just a lot. And then mentally, I just let myself, I let my guard down mentally. And I was just in a really bad place for like a day. And that's where it's important too, that you have good people around you, one or two really good friends that are healthy, wise people, hopefully you have a good spouse or significant other that kind of balances off, when you're down, they can pick you up and carry the weight and all of that. So
absolutely.
I'm excited for what's to come.
Me too.
I'm excited for what's to come for life, but also our podcast to just continue to be authentic and transparent and connecting with you guys on life.
And we appreciate you coming along for the ride. And we look forward to future episodes. And again, ideas are welcome. And if you can like, share, and just make sure that you're subscribing, that would be so appreciated as we try to grow our little podcast even more. We appreciate all your support.
And then one of the things that I wanted to touch upon just before we leave, actually, because we forgot about this. If you have somebody in your life that's dealing with this, with cancer, or if you yourself are, we already talked a little bit about like the diet and being active, but even through your process right now, and I know several other people that I've reached out to that are immediately in our lives dealing with severe stages of cancer. There's so much that goes with the treatment. A lot of the chemo, radiation, a lot of these medications really, they get rid of the cancer, but they also really weaken your body down.
They kill everything,
so aggressive.
Good and bad. Mm-hmm.
And so, finding good, different ways to support your body through that. And the timing of it, can be unique. It's probably not going to be something that your mainstream oncologist will really have a lot of insight on. But it would be really, if you can find a functional medicine leaning doctor in the area that would work with what your oncologist is doing, because you don't want to do anything at the wrong time and undo what the chemo is meant to do. But one of the things that we've told you about at our clinic, like we have a PEMF unit, which really just supports your body, supports blood circulation, builds up your immune system. So like if you have access to something like that, an infrared sauna, There's other, IV vitamin therapies right now, like NAD plus and glutathione and some of these other IV therapies, just things that you can do maybe once you're done with chemo to help your body rebuild the good things about your body quicker. And then I know we have several other people in our lives right now that are dealing with these treatments. And it doesn't seem like you've had this happen to you, which is awesome, where like, the neuropathy and joint pain and things like that are happening. And so where you can find a really good soft tissue focused chiropractor, like what my husband's practice does at Ohio Sports Chiropractic, if you're not in our area, even if you just go to our website, ohiosportschiropractic.com, and see the services that we offer, and then try to find something in your area that would offer similar things. But, being able to do not only the chiropractic adjustment, which will be so beneficial for so many reasons, including resetting your body's energy and the pathways for healing, but then also the soft tissue work to be able to help with the neuropathy that you're probably going to get from treatment, joint pain, things like that. Again, if it's not you, but if it's somebody that you know, please share this information with them, making sure that moving forward, they're making great food choices. They are being active. Anything else that...
Because I will tell you that, so I went through initial chemo, 7 days, 24/7, and it just killed everything. And then you have to build it back up again. Well, I just went through another week of chemo because I've got to do maintenance chemo before the bone marrow, and it killed everything. So now I'm building it back up again. Well, on the 21st of January, I go back in for another week of chemo, which will kill everything. So it's that constant beat up your body of just killing everything good and bad, and then your body having to fight back again. So I'm wondering if over time the body just gets harder and harder to fight back. And you need those additional types of things to support you in order for your body to have a chance to rebound quickly. I've been lucky so far because I've rebounded pretty quickly with the 2 treatments I've had. However, I don't know if that's going to be moving forward, right? Then once I get to the bone marrow thing, there's more chemo. So the chemo is just extensive at this point.
So if you have access to an infrared sauna, once you're done with the administration of the chemo and your body is just rebuilding itself, as Bri just shared, like that's when you want to come in and do the sauna as much as you can, 2-3 times a week, to just help detox that way. Do the PEMF, the pulse electric magnetic field mat thing. Right now, like by us, that place in Stowe, something or other, like they have a like hyperbaric oxygen chamber, red light. Like if you have access to those things, and there's so many more like mini little spa places that are coming up that you can usually pay like a membership. So they would be, if whatever your financial situation is, if people are reaching out to you and they're like, hey, we know you're dealing with this, how can we help you? If you get 10 people that can donate $20 so that you can buy that membership to a place like that for a month or two, where you can use red light and hyperbaric oxygen chamber and a sauna and PEMF, and like all these other things that are just going to help your body build back up. Again, that will help you just be able to continue to live life to the fullest and have such a positive outcome of supporting the treatment that you are getting, but also supporting re-strengthening your body.
Because when you think about it, I was very active going into this, and I've become very inactive. And that's another impact on your body.
Right.
Because my body was used to moving and doing all this stuff, and now it's losing a lot of that, but I'm trying to get it back, but I can only do so much.
Yeah.
And so that's the other piece of it you've got to remember too.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining us again. We'd love to hear from you, as Bri mentioned. So make sure that you're commenting on the episodes, messaging us on Instagram. And if you have any tips, if you've gone through leukemia treatment,
let me know.
Any advice. Bri is looking for some hair stuff. So
yes, please help me out here because, I can only do so much. I've ordered some things and some work, some don't. I don't have a good scarf game. That scarfing is not for me. So I'm going to have to think something else.
But Bry's like Sinead O'Connor. Like, she looks good. Like, she sent me the first picture from the hospital, and I'm like, you look good. And then a couple of days later, I went for a run, and I had on a really tight fitting, like runner's beanie hat. And I'm looking, and I'm like, oh man, I would look terrible if I had to shave my head off.
Oh my gosh.
So, you're a much sexier cancer patient than I am.
I could be on a new Star Trek movie. So if anybody sees this and they know somebody's doing Star Trek, let me know.
Or Alien or something.
Alien, I could be a Borg.
What's that other one? Mad Max.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I would totally be such a good badass for that.
I'm ready. Let's go.
You may not need anything for a hair game. You pull it off.
Well, we'll see. It's going to be a 3 to 6 months journey. before I even get anything. So I got some time. So thank you all so much for listening. I know this was a lot about me, so I appreciate you entertaining that. And again, we really appreciate your support. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next episode.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.